Nathan Carter wasn't just another passenger, a self-made businessman, a name whispered in elite circles. Years of hard work had taken him from the streets of Atlanta to the boardrooms of Fortune 500 companies. Today he was flying first class, heading to a high-stakes meeting that could change everything. Dressed in a sharp navy suit, he stepped into the airport, exuding quiet confidence. He had done this 100 times before, booked a first-class ticket, checked in, and boarded without a second thought. But this time, something felt off. The way sure eyes lingered on him, the hushed whispers just out of earshot. Nathan brushed it off. He had no idea that his entire world was about to shift before this flight even took off. Nathan stepped onto the plane, the cool air blasting against his face as he reached his first-class seat. He barely noticed the flight attendant watching him from across the cabin until he settled in. "Excuse me, sir," she said, her voice clipped. "This section is for first-class passengers only." Nathan blinked. "I know. Here's my ticket." He held it up, but she barely glanced at it. "Let me see some ID," she demanded. A few passengers turned their heads, curiosity flickering in their eyes. Nathan exhaled slowly, his fingers tightening around the armrest. He'd seen this before. The unspoken suspicion, the assumption that a black man in a designer suit didn't belong here. Still, he kept his voice calm. "Is there a problem?" Her lips pursed. "I just need to confirm you're in the right seat." Nathan pulled out his ID and handed it over. She snatched it and inspected it like she was searching for a flaw, a reason to say he wasn't supposed to be here. A minute passed, then another. Finally, she handed it back. "Wait here." Nathan glanced around. Other passengers had walked in, taken their seats, and been offered champagne. No questions asked. But he was being watched like a criminal. The attendant returned, this time with a uniformed airline supervisor. "Sir, I need you to step off the plane." Nathan's stomach dropped. "For what reason?" "There's been a booking error," the supervisor said, avoiding eye contact. Nathan felt the heat rising in his chest. "That's impossible. I booked this ticket weeks ago." "Sir, we need you to leave. Now." A murmur spread through the cabin. Some passengers looked away, pretending not to notice. Others whispered behind cupped hands. Nathan's jaw clenched. He could argue and demand to speak to someone higher up. But deep down, he knew how this would end. Security would come. They'd frame it as a disturbance. He'd be escorted out like a trespasser on his dime. So he stood, collected his things, and walked off the plane. His heart pounded as he stepped back into the terminal. Humiliation burned in his chest. But as he pulled out his phone, his fingers hovered over a name, a contact who could change everything. The flight attendant thought she had won. But in the next few minutes, she was about to realize she had just made the biggest mistake of her life. Nathan sat in the VIP lounge, his pulse still hammering. He had been humiliated and treated like he didn't belong, on a plane he had every right to be on. But as he scrolled through his phone, his anger sharpened into something else. Determination. He tapped a contact, one of the most influential investors in the aviation industry. The phone rang once, twice. Then, "Nathan, my friend, what's going on?" Nathan's voice was steady. "I need a meeting. Now." Within minutes, a private call was set. Nathan didn't just know influential people, he was one. And today he was about to remind them of that. Across the airport, the flight attendant went about her duties, unaware of the storm brewing. She had no idea that the man she had thrown off her plane was negotiating a deal that would shake the entire airline to its core. The following day, headlines exploded across the news. Billionaire acquires major airline after racially charged incident. The same airline that had kicked him off was now under his control. And when Nathan stepped through those glass doors as the newest owner, he wasn't looking for revenge. He was there to ensure this never happened to another black traveler again. As he walked past the stunned flight crew, one face stood frozen in shock, the very woman who had humiliated him. Nathan met her wide-eyed stare and gave her a slow, knowing nod. Power had shifted, and this time, it was on his terms. Nathan didn't fire the flight attendant. He didn't need to. Her actions had already sentenced her. The media storm was relentless, and the airline, his airline now, was forced to confront a harsh truth. Racism wasn't just bad PR, it was bad business. Instead of revenge, Nathan chose something far more powerful: change. He implemented mandatory diversity training, strict anti-discrimination policies, and a system for passengers to report racial bias without fear of being ignored. The industry took notice, and other airlines scrambled to follow. But for Nathan, it wasn't just about corporate reform. It was about something more profound, a fight that stretched beyond one flight, beyond one moment. Because the truth was clear, this wasn't an isolated incident. Every day, black travelers face discrimination, suspicion, and second-class treatment. Nathan's story went viral, not just because of what he did, but because so many people had lived it too. In interviews, he was repeatedly asked the same question: "What do you want people to take away from this?" His answer never changed: "I want them to remember that power isn't just money. Power is refusing to stay silent. Power is standing up repeatedly until the world has no choice but to listen." So now we ask you, how many more stories like this will it take before real change happens? And when the moment comes, will you stand up or stay silent? If you enjoyed this story and thought it provoking, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more powerful narratives. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. What would you have done in this situation? Your support helps bring more eye-opening stories to life.